Khabib Nurmagomedov. A name that is as scary as it is difficult to spell. As we get further and further away from his retirement, we start to get more and more questions. What would the division have been like had he continued on? Would he have still retired undefeated? And is Conor still trying to get that rematch? While I can't answer any of those, unfortunately, we can look at how he left his Hall of Fame legendary career as we take a look at his final fight against Justin Gaethje in the retirement fight that nobody knew was coming. The date is October 24th, 2020 at the Du Forum on Yas Island, Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates. 0 people paid a total of $0 as we are deep into the pandemic era of the UFC. However, 675,000 people still paid to watch on ESPN+. The tones of Bring the Pain bring us into the arena, where our commentary for the evening is John Anik and DC Daniel Cormier, because Joe Rogan couldn't be asked. Our very first fight, in a fight that makes my voice-to-text want to shit itself in rage, it's Ion Cutelaba versus Magomed Ankalaev. Round 1, we start off with a battle of the leg kicks, and because there is no crowd, the slap on some of these shots sounds deafening. Magomed lands a brutal knee to the face and attempts to follow up with a right hand that doesn't quite hit. Ion follows up with an overhead right that lands pretty solid, and a combo putting him ahead when it comes to effective striking. Ion lands in Magomed's Thai clinch and gets a knee in. And it looks like Ion goes for some sort of spinning shit, but as he spins, the right hand that follows drops him. Magomed swarms in. Ion tries to land another right hand, but Magomed clips him in the chin. Ion drops and Ankalaev finishes up on the ground. That is a TKO from Magomed Ankalaev in the first round. I'm going to give this one a 6.5 out of 10. Both guys were very careful with their shots, and we now know where Magomed is in his career, so we can kind of see the beginnings of this kind of thing now. But as for this fight specifically, I'm not 100% on it. Coming up next in the women's division, it's Lauren Murphy versus Lilia Shakirova. Before we start with this fight proper, there is a problem and we gotta talk about it. What in the name of sanity is going on with Shakirova's hair? So you know what that means. It is time for a very special episode of What Hair Are You? So far, I have Bruce Lee, goth detective Noel Fielding, Joan Jett, a member of the Beatles, and a bike helmet. Round 1, Shakirova starts out very elusively using head movement really effectively, but Murphy keeps the pressure up. Shakirova hits a spinning back fist at about 3:20 left in the first round. Murphy tries to advance by throwing a couple of shots, but nothing really effective. As the fight continues, Murphy starts to counter Shakirova's speed, and has been walking her down pretty much the entire fight. Shakirova hasn't really gotten a lot of space to do anything effectively. She does try to get a takedown at about 50 seconds left in the first round, but nothing doing. Round 2, Murphy loads up on a couple of shots, but nothing really effective, so she stops going for the big shots and starts going for combinations, and Shakirova starts to look a little bit overwhelmed. We get a little bit of clinch work once again. Shakirova tries her best, but is just getting manhandled by Murphy, who gets a takedown into open guard. Shakirova tries to hip escape, but nothing doing. Murphy stands up to reposition and gets Shakirova's back, sinks in the hooks under the neck, and DC calls it with about 5 seconds before it's over. And Lauren Murphy has her 4th consecutive win, and first by submission. I am going to give this one a 6. Shakirova so thoroughly had her ass kicked. Something about some of the women divisions, you can see the kind of talent discrepancies because the divisions are as shallow as they can be. We've seen Murphy in championship fights before, and we'll do it again down the line. And that is where she should be. Shakirova, not so much. Lauren Murphy moves to 14-4 in her career, and at the age of 37, she would go on to fight for the women's flyweight championship against Valentina Shevchenko in a losing effort at UFC 266. And as for Shakirova, not much. Her and Murphy was her only UFC fight, and afterwards she popped for steroids and hasn't fought since. Thanks for coming. In a fight that's going to take me longer to introduce than it is going to recap, it's Phil Hawes versus Jacob Malcoun. Round 1, we start with a little circling around the ring. Malcoun looks a little bit nervous, and that might be for a good reason, because he gets annihilated with a left hand, and then Hawes just starts landing brutally accurate left and right hooks, and it is over in 18 seconds. 7.5 out of 10, not a lot to say about this one. It is over and done in less than 20 seconds. And I love these short, violent sprints of matches. Can't say no to a knockout. And you can see, I can't say shit about Malcoun because I didn't see anything. What is it that Stephen A. Smith who said, it's like, we didn't learn anything about Conor. We didn't learn anything about these guys. In a fight of titanic proportions, it is Walt Harris versus Alexander Volkov. Round 1, both guys start out pretty quick with heavy body kicks from both guys. Harris tries to land a combo, but Volkov responds with just a single shot to the face, cutting him off. Volkov lands a beautiful jab that knocks Harris backwards a little bit. Walt Harris is usually a fast starter, but it looks like he's being very respectful of Volkov's knockout power. Volkov lands a leg kick that almost knocks Harris's leg out from under him. Harris falters backwards a little bit, and Volkov tries to take advantage, but somehow Harris stays on his feet, landing a couple of really clean, crisp shots to the face, forcing Volkov to back out, lest he get slept himself. Round 2, it starts with Volkov loading up a kick, and just the sheer mention of it causes Harris to back up a little bit. Walt holds Volkov's hands at bay as he tries to go for a takedown, but he doesn't really go too hard. Volkov lands a shot right to the lower abdomen of Walt Harris, and Volkov finishes him with a TKO. There is a little bit of confusion as to whether or not it was a low shot, but the slow motion replay shows it was just a picture-perfect kick to the duodenum, causing Walt Harris to buckle over. I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10. I fear as though this is becoming more and more of a hot take, but I love a heavyweight fight, and I know like they're big and they're lumbering, but when it's done well, it can be really exciting and interesting, and that's what we got here. So this one's worth going back to watch. In our next fight, the semi-main in the middleweight division, it is Bobby Knuckles Robert Whittaker versus Jared Cannonier. Round 1, Cannonier tries to cut and run with a lot of his shots, trying to tag Whittaker and keep moving, but Whittaker is just too fast. Cannonier lands a leg kick that knocks Whittaker down to the ground, and then he knocks himself over with a too high of a head kick. Both guys are not leaving a clash without landing at least one big shot on each other, but it looks like Whittaker is getting the better of it with his head kicks and leg kicks. Whittaker goes in and lands a left hand, but Jared responds with a shot that knocks Whittaker loopy. But every time Jared lands a shot, Bobby is right back with a heavy kick to the chest. Cannonier lands a body kick, and that is how round 1 ends. Whittaker starts out doubling up on the jab, which he likes to do, causes Cannonier to fade back a little bit. Both guys throw combinations at each other, landing a couple of solid shots. Cannonier lands a hook while Whittaker lands a straight right to the face. Cannonier tries to bite back the desire to start swinging for the head, and instead, he goes back to those brutal leg kicks. Whittaker lands another solid one of those jabs to the face and goes for a takedown, but Cannonier gets himself up pretty sharpish. Whittaker might want to think about checking some of these leg kicks, because just looking at them is making me walk funny. Whittaker bites on a feint and then responds with a couple of shots as round 2 ends. We get a little thumbs up from Robert Whittaker as the fight starts, so that's cute. Whittaker lands a brutal combo, a straight jab to the face with a left and a right hand, followed up by a head kick, and Whittaker swarms, coming in with the ground and pound, but it looks like Cannonier is gonna survive. Cannonier, who is now bleeding from the shots given by Whittaker earlier in the fight, somehow gets himself to his feet. He's got a minute and 30 seconds left, and if there was ever a time to empty that gas tank, it is now. He lands a right hand that buckles Whittaker, and Cannonier swarms, trying to take advantage of it. He tries to do a big knee as the round ends, but he just ends up on his back. Judges go 29-28, 29-28, and 29-28 for the winner and still #1 contender, Robert Whittaker. Both of these guys just went after each other. None of them wanted to say die. And you gotta appreciate the stick-to-itiveness and the longevity. Jared Cannonier, he stuck to his game plan, but unfortunately Robert Whittaker just doesn't feel pain, I guess. This was a lot of fun to watch. This pay-per-view, as it goes on, gets better and better. We're getting to the real meat of the issue now. And finally, it's our main event. It's time to unify some titles. It's Justin Gaethje versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. Khabib Nurmagomedov made his UFC debut in 2012, starting an unbeaten run that marked him as one of the greatest of all time in the lightweight division. In 2014, he dominated Rafael dos Anjos, proving that he belonged among the top contenders. However, he would lose almost 2 years to injury. In 2018, he would capture the vacant lightweight championship by defeating Al Iaquinta, and from there, he would defend the belt in 2 of the biggest fights in sports history. Just before this fight in July 2020, Khabib suffered the loss of his father and lifelong coach, Abdulnamap Nurmagomedov, a devastating personal blow just months before his next fight against Justin Gaethje. That sets the stage for tonight, where Khabib is entering with a perfect 28-0 to face the current interim champion to make this title fight undisputed. Round 1, a relaxed start to the first round, and you can tell Gaethje is wary of Nurmagomedov's wrestling, and Khabib doesn't want to get into a firefight with Justin Gaethje. Gaethje's shots are so fast and so wild, it's hard to know when they're coming, and he hits those famous leg kicks, but Khabib just walks right through it and starts putting the pressure on. Gaethje loads up on a heavy hook that misses wide. Khabib is putting so much pressure on Gaethje, it almost looks like Gaethje is trying to run away. Khabib tries to land a Kenny Omega-style V-trigger knee, but Gaethje gets out of the way. About a minute left, heavy and hard shots to the face land on Khabib. 30 seconds left in round 1, Khabib gets the mount. It looks to grab Gaethje's arm for an armbar, but doesn't have enough time as the horn sounds. Round 2, Khabib wants to keep this pace up, and he almost looks like he was upset he had to stop and rest for a minute. Khabib goes for a takedown and Gaethje almost sprawls, but Khabib transitions to land basically where he was in the same position at the end of the first round. He gets his legs around Gaethje's neck with a triangle choke. Eventually, he passes out, and Khabib Nurmagomedov remains undefeated at 29-0. Khabib drops to the ground and dissolves into tears. After the fight, he thanks his team around him and announces that this was his final fight. He gives props to Justin Gaethje and says to be close with your parents because you never know what's going to happen. And brother, don't I know it. This fight gets a 9. It is fantastic because Justin Gaethje is my favorite fighter currently going right now. And Khabib is somebody who kind of passed me by a little bit. I had heard of him, but I never really paid too close attention. So this is the first time I ever really sat and watched and see everything he does. And he's fantastic. No wonder he was undefeated for so long. You know what I mean? Knowing why Khabib retired, I fully get it. I lost my dad this June, and it shakes your world, man. And especially when he's the reason you do something, and that goes away. Yeah, you're not gonna be so fucking gung-ho to keep doing it. But yeah, overall, this is a great fight. If you haven't seen it and you want to see a capstone on Khabib's career, get you to a Fight Pass subscription. Overall, I'm going to give this card a 7.5. It starts slow. It's not the best start of any card, but it does pick up and it does keep going. And like I said, a good pay-per-view card should do that. It should pick up steam as it goes, and the main event should be the best fight. But there's other good stuff here too. Robert Whittaker is always a solid fighter to watch. The only problem is, it is during the pandemic. And the fact that Khabib, somebody of this stature and talent, to retire with no fans, yeah, that's the only thing that's really kind of like holding this moment back to being like a real like rewatchable thing. But I don't want this to end on a bum note. This is a really, really solid card. If you haven't watched it and you want to see how, you know, Khabib's career ended, if you want to see his final fight, it's a good one. Go out and get this sucker, because I really enjoyed it. But what did you think? What did you think of Khabib's career? Do you think if he had continued fighting, would he have ended undefeated? Would somebody eventually have come up and stopped him? Do you think he is the Hall of Fame caliber that so many people believe he is, the UFC believes he is? Let me know what you think in the comments below. We are everywhere on social media at It's Not Cage Fighting. If you liked what you saw, like, comment, subscribe. I always feel like a jerk saying stuff like that, but you gotta. And if you really enjoyed what you saw and you want to kick us a couple of bucks, go to patreon.com/itsnotcagefighting, where if you donate $10 or above, you can get your very own retro review episode. I will sit here and I will do whatever card you like. Hopefully it doesn't end on the bummer that this one kind of did. But thank you guys very, very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching this as much as I enjoyed making it, and I will see you next time.